I used to think betrayal happened loudly. Screaming. Broken glass. Doors slammed so hard the walls shook. But mine happened quietly. It happened in small smiles that disappeared when I entered the room. In phone calls that ended too fast. In perfume she wore only when she said she was going to help her sister. In the way my wife, Emily, started looking through me instead of at me. We had been married for 7 years. 7 years of bills, plans, sacrifices, late nights, and promises. When we first got married, Emily told me her dream was simple. She wanted a house outside the city. A white kitchen. A garden. A porch where we could drink coffee in the morning. A quiet place where life felt safe. I believed her. So I worked for it. I took extra contracts. I skipped vacations. I drove the same old truck for years while she upgraded her car. Every spare dollar went into the house fund. And when I finally bought a small piece of land near a quiet lake, she cried. At least I thought those tears were real. For 2 years I built that dream piece by piece. I was not rich. I was not some millionaire in a movie. I was just a man who loved his wife enough to destroy his own body making her dream real. I worked during the day, then drove to the property at night to meet contractors, check materials, fix mistakes, and save money wherever I could. Emily used to come with me in the beginning. She would stand on the dirt where the porch would be and say, "This is where we'll grow old." I still remember that sentence. Because later, it became the first thing I hated about that house. About 6 months before the house was finished, Emily changed. She became protective of her phone. Then secretive. Then cold. At first, I blamed myself. I thought maybe I was too tired. Maybe I talked too much about money. Maybe she felt ignored because I was always working. So I tried harder. I brought flowers home. She said they were beautiful but left them on the counter until they died. I planned dinner. She canceled because her sister needed her. I asked her to visit the lake house with me. She smiled and said, "Soon." But soon never came. Then one night everything shifted. I came home early because a delivery at the construction site had been delayed. Emily was in the shower. Her phone was on the kitchen island. It lit up. I did not touch it at first. I just saw the name. Ryan. I knew Ryan. He was not her coworker. Not a family friend. Not some stranger from the gym. Ryan was the guy she used to date before me. The message preview said, "Does he still think the house is for him too?" I stood there for a long time. The shower kept running. The house was silent except for the water. And I felt something inside me go cold. Not angry. Cold. When Emily came downstairs, I was sitting at the kitchen table. She smiled like nothing was wrong. I looked at her phone. Then I looked at her. She saw my face and instantly knew. "What?" she asked. I did not yell. I only said, "Who is Ryan?" Her face changed so fast it almost made me laugh. She said he was an old friend. Then she said he had been going through a hard time. Then she said I was being controlling. Then she cried. That was the first performance. Not the last. I asked one question. "How long?" She looked offended like I had insulted her. But she did not answer. That told me everything. I slept in the guest room that night. Or tried to. At 3:12 in the morning, I opened my laptop and checked something I should have checked months before. The house fund. There were withdrawals I did not recognize. Small at first. Then bigger. 2,000. 5,000. 7,000. Transfers to accounts I had never seen. I kept digging. And by sunrise, I knew enough to understand that my wife had not only cheated on me. She had been using our future to finance him. Ryan had opened a small bar downtown. It was failing. Emily had been helping him, temporarily. With my money. With money I earned while building the house she promised we would grow old in. The next morning, Emily found me sitting at the kitchen table with printed bank statements in front of me. She stared at them. Then she whispered, "You went through our finances?" I almost smiled. Our finances? She started crying again. She told me Ryan was depressed. She said he was going to lose everything. She said she felt responsible because she had left him years ago. Then she said the sentence that killed whatever love I had left. "You were always so strong. I thought you could handle it." I could handle it. That was the problem. For years, people had treated my strength like permission. Permission to lie. Permission to use me. Permission to assume I would survive whatever they did. I did not throw her out. I did not call her names. I did not expose her that day. Instead, I did something that scared her more. I became calm. very calm. I told Emily I needed time. She begged me not to tell anyone. She said it was complicated. She said Ryan meant nothing. She said the money could be replaced. I said, okay. That single word made her relax. She thought she had won. She thought I was the same man. The man who fixed problems. The man who absorbed pain. The man who always chose peace. But that man died at the kitchen table before sunrise. The new one started making copies. Over the next 3 weeks, I became the best husband she had ever seen. I did not accuse her. I did not question her. I smiled when she lied. I kissed her cheek when she said she was going to her sister's house. And every time she left, I documented everything. Bank transfers, phone records, restaurant receipts, hotel parking, messages that appeared on our shared tablet because she forgot it was connected to her account. The worst part was not even the affair. It was the conversations. Ryan was not in love with her. He laughed at her. He called her, my emergency bank. He joked that once the lake house was done, she could upgrade her life. Emily replied with a heart. That one hurt. Not because she loved him. Because she believed him. She thought I was the boring chapter before her real life began. She thought I was building a house she could eventually take. So I visited a lawyer. Then another. Then a financial investigator. The house land was in my name. Purchased before the biggest joint withdrawals. The construction company had contracts under my business account. Emily had never wanted to be involved in boring paperwork, so she had signed almost nothing. For the first time in years, her laziness helped me. The lawyer looked through everything and said, do not confront her yet. So I didn't. I waited. Waiting was the hardest part, because Emily became sweet again. Not real sweet. Strategic sweet. She cooked dinner. She touched my shoulder. She talked about curtains for the lake house. One evening, she stood beside me while I reviewed the final porch design. She smiled and said, can you imagine our first morning there? I looked at the drawing. Then at her. And I said, yeah, I can. But in my imagination she was not there. The house was finished on a Friday. Emily wanted to throw a small celebration. She invited her parents. My parents. A few friends. Even her sister. She did not know I had invited Ryan too. Not directly. I simply sent him a message from Emily's old tablet. Come by the lake house Saturday. We need to talk about the money before everything changes. He came. Of course he came. Men like Ryan always show up when they smell money. Saturday afternoon, the house looked perfect. The lake was calm. The porch lights were warm. Emily wore a white dress and acted like a woman stepping into her dream. Everyone praised her. Her mother hugged her and said, you finally got your beautiful home. Emily smiled like she had earned it. I let her have that moment. Then Ryan's car pulled up. The smile vanished from her face. My mother looked confused. Emily's father frowned. Ryan stepped out wearing sunglasses and fake confidence. He looked at Emily. Then he looked at me. And suddenly he understood he had walked into something. I raised my glass. Before we eat, I said, I want to thank everyone for coming. This house took years to build. A lot of sacrifice. A lot of trust. And, apparently, a lot of secret withdrawals. The silence was instant. Emily whispered, don't. I looked at her. What? You didn't mind doing it? Why are you afraid of hearing it? Her mother asked what was going on. So I told them. Not with shouting. Not with drama. I opened the black folder I had brought and placed copies of bank records on the dining table. Then hotel receipts. Then screenshots. Then messages. Nobody spoke. Emily's father picked up one page, read it, and slowly sat down like his knees had failed. Ryan tried to leave. I said, you should stay. Your name is on enough of these papers. He froze. Emily started sobbing. But this time, nobody moved to comfort her. Her sister covered her mouth. My father looked at me with pain in his eyes. My mother whispered, Emily, how could you? Emily turned to me and cried, I made a mistake. I shook my head. No. A mistake is forgetting to lock the door. You built a second life with my money while I built your dream house. Then I placed the final document on the table. Divorce papers. Emily stared at them like they were written in another language. You can't do this, she said. I already did. Her voice cracked. What about the house? I looked around at the walls I had paid for. The floors I had chosen. The porch I had finished with my own hands. Then I said, this house was never yours. You just liked the view. That was when Ryan made his second mistake. He laughed nervously and said, man, let's not make this ugly. I turned to him. It's already ugly. I'm just turning the lights on. 2 weeks later, Ryan's bar was under investigation for unpaid debts and suspicious transfers. I did not destroy him. I did not need to. I only handed the right documents to the right people. People like Ryan always build their lives on borrowed money and borrowed lies. Eventually, the floor disappears. Emily moved into a small apartment with him after she realized I was not taking her back. For about 3 months, she posted photos online pretending she was free. New beginning. Real love. Finally choosing herself. Then Ryan's bar closed. Then his car disappeared. Then Emily called me. I did not answer. She called again. And again. Then she sent a message. I know I hurt you, but I have nowhere to go. I stared at that message for a long time. Not because I missed her. Because the old me would have answered. The old me would have felt responsible. The old me would have thought, she was my wife. But she had stopped being my wife long before I stopped being her husband. So I replied with one sentence. Ask Ryan if the house was for him too. Then I blocked her. 6 months later, I moved into the lake house. Alone. On the first morning, I made coffee and sat on the porch. The sun came up over the water. The trees moved softly in the wind. For the first time in years, nobody needed anything from me. Nobody lied beside me. Nobody used my strength as a bank account. The house was quiet. Peaceful. Mine. A neighbor's black dog kept wandering onto the porch, so eventually I adopted him. I named him Cash mostly as a joke. Every morning, Cash sleeps by my feet while I drink coffee and watch the lake. Sometimes I think about Emily. Not with love. Not with hate. Just distance. Like remembering a bad storm that passed through and tore down the wrong trees. People ask if revenge made me happy. No. Revenge did not make me happy. Peace did. Revenge only cleared the road. Emily wanted a dream house built on betrayal. Ryan wanted another man's life without doing another man's work. They both got what they deserved. A temporary illusion. A collapsing lie. And me? I got the one thing they never expected me to keep. Everything. For almost 8 months, I heard nothing from Emily. No calls. No messages. No fake apologies sent through friends. Nothing. And honestly, silence suited me. The lake house became my life. Not the dream I once built for her, but the one I rebuilt for myself. Every morning, I woke up before sunrise. Cash, my black dog, would lift his head when he heard the coffee machine, then follow me out to the porch like he owned half the place. Maybe he did. I worked less. Slept better. Started eating real meals again. The dark circles under my eyes faded. My shoulders stopped feeling like I was carrying a house, a marriage, and a lie all at once. People told me I looked younger. But I knew the truth. I did not look younger. I looked free. Then one cold evening in November, a strange car pulled into my driveway. Cash stood up before I did. He did not bark. He just stared. That was how I knew something was wrong. A silver sedan stopped near the porch. The driver's door opened first. Emily stepped out. She looked nothing like the woman who had once stood in my unfinished kitchen talking about curtains and porch furniture. Her hair was messy. Her coat looked too thin for the weather. Her face was pale, tired, and smaller somehow, like life had taken pieces from her one by one. Then the passenger door opened. Ryan got out. And behind them, from the back seat, Emily's mother stepped onto the gravel. That was when I understood. This was not an apology. This was a rescue mission. Emily stood at the bottom of the porch steps and looked up at me like she still had the right to be there. Daniel, she said softly. I did not answer. Cash moved beside my leg. Ryan glanced at the dog, then at the house, and I saw it immediately. Not regret. Not shame. Calculation. He was looking at my home like a starving man looking through a restaurant window. Emily's mother, Linda, walked forward with tears in her eyes. Please, she said. We just need to talk. I looked at the three of them. Then I said, you have 2 minutes. Emily swallowed. Ryan's jaw tightened. Linda started first. She has nowhere to go. I almost laughed, but I didn't. The old me would have felt guilt. The new me only felt tired. That sounds like a problem between her and the man she chose, I said. Emily flinched. Ryan stepped forward. Don't act like you're innocent. You destroyed my business. I looked at him. No, Ryan. Debt destroyed your business. Fraud destroyed your business. Your ego just made it faster. His face went red. Emily quickly touched his arm, trying to calm him. That small gesture told me everything. Even after everything, she was still protecting him. Still choosing him. Even while standing in front of the house I built. Linda began crying harder. Daniel, please. She made mistakes, but she was your wife. You loved her once. I nodded slowly. I did. Emily looked up, hopeful for the first time. Then I finished. And that man is gone. The hope died on her face. Ryan scoffed. Man, you're really enjoying this, aren't you? I stepped down one porch step. No. That's the difference between us. I don't enjoy watching people fall. But I also don't lie down so they can step on me again. Emily's voice broke. We're being evicted. I said nothing. She continued, Ryan lost the apartment. His accounts are frozen. My credit is ruined. I can't get approved anywhere. I looked at Ryan. He looked away. Emily whispered, I need somewhere to stay. Just for a little while. There it was. Not, I'm sorry. Not, you were right. Not, I destroyed you and I regret it. Just need. People like Emily do not come back when they understand the damage. They come back when the damage reaches them. I walked inside. For a second I could feel their relief behind me. They thought I was getting keys. A blanket. Maybe opening the door. I came back holding a folder. Not black this time. Blue. Emily saw it and went still. What is that? She asked. I handed it to her mother. Linda opened it with shaking hands. Inside were copies of every message Emily had sent me after the divorce. Every financial record. Every legal document showing the settlement was final. Every signed agreement stating she had no claim to the property. But that was not the worst part. The last page was a copy of a letter from my lawyer. A formal notice. No trespassing. No harassment. No further contact. Emily's mother read it slowly, then looked at me like I had slapped her. You prepared this? I nodded. I prepared it the day your daughter told mutual friends that I stole her house. Emily closed her eyes. Ryan turned toward her. What house story? I smiled for the first time. You didn't tell him? Emily whispered, Daniel, don't. But I was done protecting her secrets. I looked at Ryan. She told people this house was half hers. She told them I used the divorce to cheat her out of it. She told them she helped pay for it. Ryan looked at Emily. You said you had equity in this place. Emily's lips trembled. I tilted my head. Oh, so that's why you're here. Ryan's face changed. That was the beautiful part. He had not come because he loved her. He had come because she promised him there was still something left to take. For the first time that night, Emily looked truly scared. Not of me. Of him. Ryan stepped back from her. You told me he owed you money. Emily started crying. He does. I gave up years of my life. I felt something bitter rise in my chest. You gave up nothing, Emily. You spent years standing beside a man you were secretly stealing from. She screamed, I was unhappy. The words echoed across the lake. Cash barked once. I looked at her calmly. Then you should have left. You didn't. You stayed because I was useful. That shut her up. Linda reached for Emily's arm, but Emily pulled away. Then Ryan laughed. It was a small, ugly laugh. I knew it, he said. I knew you were lying. Emily turned on him. You used me. Ryan snapped back. You used him. And there it was. The truth, spoken by the only man low enough to say it without shame. They started arguing in my driveway. Right there under the porch lights. The woman who betrayed me and the man she betrayed me with, tearing each other apart over money that was never theirs. I just stood there and watched the final collapse. Not because I enjoyed it. Because I needed to see it once. I needed to see the lie without makeup. Ryan shouted that Emily had promised him a new start. Emily shouted that Ryan had promised her love. Linda cried between them, begging them to stop. But lies do not stop quietly. They break loudly when there is nothing left to feed them. Finally I spoke. Leave. They all turned to me. Emily's face was wet with tears. Daniel, please. I pointed toward the road. This is private property. Ryan stepped forward like he wanted to threaten me, but Cash moved first. One low growl from that dog and Ryan suddenly remembered he was not brave. Linda pulled Emily toward the car. Emily resisted. She looked at me one last time. I loved you, she whispered. That one almost got me. Not because I believed it. Because once I would have wanted to. I walked closer, stopping at the bottom step. No, I said. You loved what I could build. You loved what I could fix. You loved what I could survive. But you never loved me enough to protect me from you. She covered her mouth. Then I turned and walked back inside. I did not watch them leave. But I heard the car doors slam. I heard Ryan yelling. I heard tires crush gravel as they backed out of the driveway. Then the lake was quiet again. For 2 weeks nothing happened. Then my lawyer called. Emily had tried to challenge the divorce settlement. She claimed emotional pressure. She claimed financial confusion. She claimed she did not understand what she signed. The judge did not agree, because I had records, dates, emails, bank statements, witnesses, and one very useful video from the day at the lake house, recorded by the security camera above my porch. It showed Ryan arriving. It showed Emily crying. It showed the folder. It showed everything. The case did not last long. But the final hearing gave me one last moment I never expected. Emily walked into court wearing a simple gray coat, no makeup, no confidence. Ryan was not with her. Apparently, he had disappeared 2 days earlier after borrowing money from someone even worse than him. Emily sat across from me and did not look up. Her mother sat behind her. For the first time her father came too. He looked older, ashamed. When the judge dismissed her claim, Emily did not cry. She just stared at the table. Like the last fantasy had finally been taken away. Outside the courthouse, her father approached me. I expected anger. Instead, he took off his glasses and said, "I'm sorry." I said nothing. He continued, "We defended her because she was our daughter. But we should have asked what kind of daughter she had become. That was the closest thing to justice I ever got from her family." I nodded once. Then I walked away. Emily called my name. I stopped, but I did not turn around. She said, "Was there ever a chance you would forgive me?" The courthouse steps were cold under my shoes. The sky was gray. For a moment, I remembered her younger face. The woman at the empty land near the lake, smiling and saying, "This is where we'll grow old." I remembered how badly I wanted that version of her to be real. Then I looked back, and I told her the truth. "I forgave you months ago." Her eyes filled with tears. "But forgiveness doesn't mean access." She whispered, "I have nothing." I looked at her for the last time. "No, Emily,